Hey, what's shaking, everyone? So it looks like by the end of the week, we are going to know who the next Supreme Court justice is probably going to be. There are some rhinos out there, most notably Mitt Romney's been weirdly silent. Susan Collins has outright said that she's going to postpone any sort of vote until after the election. You fucking rhino. Get rid of her mane, please. You'd be doing us all a favor. And that square-headed bitch from Alaska is going to be doing the same thing as Collins. So, maybe you should see if we can trade back Alaska to Russia. I don't know. Maybe they'd like that bitch who looks like she's a Roblox stand-in. Anyways, before we dig into who these top two contenders are, I just wanted to say I've only had the channel here live for a month now, but the support has been tremendous, and I thank each and every one of you for paying attention to what I have to say here. And if you like what I do in fact say when it comes to the world of sports and politics, as well as eventually I'd like to start diving into nutrition. And if you guys like any of those topics down there, and if there's anything you'd like for me to elaborate on down below, feel free to drop it in that comment section right there as well. And if you have any opinion on the topics that we're covering here today, feel free to drop them there as well. While you're down there, if you don't mind hitting that subscribe button, or hey, even just doing something as simple as dropping a like. So let's just go ahead and take a look at what the BBC has to say. I know right now we have a Canadian reading a BBC article about a United States Supreme Court nominee. Yeah, don't pay attention to that, just pay attention to what we're actually talking about here today. Anyways, U.S. President Donald Trump has said he will announce this week his candidate to fill the vacancy at Supreme Court created by the death of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Oh my god, she died? I didn't hear about it. President Trump said his choice would be a woman, a very talented, very brilliant woman. Of course, everybody agrees. Two conservative candidates are seen as the main contenders for the lifelong job, but reports suggest some other names are also being considered. Now, just before I sat down to record this, the First Lady here, Amy Coney Barrett, was seen at the White House having an interview with Trump. I don't think that it's done and dusted quite yet. I think in the next couple of days we're going to be hearing from the lady that we'll preview second, because I much prefer her, but also wouldn't be, vehemently against ACB here. You know what? Now that I think about it, RGB is replaced by ACB. I like it. She's going up a little bit more in my book. But what we got here is a 48-year-old, which is a stark contrast to the 87-year-old cancer patient who, just passed. So a little heads up too, a little foreshadowing. The other lady's 53 years old. So guess what? When they get appointed, they're going to be here for a long time. And they are both super conservative. You guys think along the same lines as I do. This is a big win for liberty and freedom. But let's take a look at the stance of Miss Barrett here. What you need to know about Amy Coney Barrett. Now, I pulled up Politico because, as you all kind of know, Politico's quite a left-leaning outlet, so they are going to be thorough in their screening and less than generous. But when I was looking at this article, it seems to be a fairly concise consolidation of her opinions. Religious conservatives have much to be pleased with Barrett, a devout Catholic. And that's what the left is trying to slam her on right now. Oh, she's too Catholic. What the fuck does that even mean? She believes in God and adheres to the values taught by the Bible. Yeah, terrible person, especially to this new wave of leftism. Fair enough. Barrett has stated that life begins at conception, according to a 2013 Notre Dame article. Okay, that's typical old school conservatism, and like I stated before in the previous Ruth Bader Ginsburg video, I'd like to just... I think women who need or are considering an abortion should have the first month, but I'd be willing to negotiate to the end of the first trimester, but anything longer than that. So I guess I'm a soft pro-choice candidate, but everything else about me is a deeply conservative. Anyways, she could serve for decades. At 48 years old, like I was saying, she is going to be around for a long time. Which, I hope we get some sort of term limits after this. Like I've stated before, 20 years and retirement at the age of 70. Somewhere in and around there. But Stop listening to these ancient old fuckers who are just running the country and doing fuck all. A protege of Scalia. Oh, okay, cool. Barrett clerked for the late Justice Scalia after graduating from Notre Dame Law School. Like Scalia, Barrett is a strict originalist. Originalist? Sure. And would enforce her best understanding of the Constitution rather than a precedent she thinks is clearly in conflict with it. Exactly what I said in my previous RBG video. You know, it's really hard to keep those 3 letters straight so you don't end up saying anything that's like a really tacky computer lighting. Anyways, the Supreme Court was designed to be non-political, and that's what she wants to do. That's what Barrett wants to do. That is great. That is terrific. She can go toe-to-toe with Democrats. During her confirmation hearing to serve on the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals in 2017, Barrett engaged in a contentious exchange with Senate Judiciary Committee's top Democrat, Dianne Feinstein. Oh, this woman is really making a strong case for being the absolute greatest pick, because going up against Feinstein, that melting hag. If you haven't seen a picture of Dianne Feinstein, imagine Nancy Pelosi in the microwave for about 30 seconds. That's about accurate. The California Democrat passed Barrett on her deeply held religious beliefs, like what they're doing right now, and how they could impact her jurisprudence, which led to criticism that Democrats' questioning was anti-Catholic. Well, if the crux of your critique is that she's too Catholic, I think that's a fair assumption to make. The dogma lives loudly within you. Holy fuck, who sound like a religious zealot now? And that's on the concern when you come to big issues that people have fought for years in this country, Feinstein said of Barrett. Hey, Dianne, why don't you look at the fact that California, your home state, is looking to repeal civil rights legislation. Creepy old bird. Barrett responded sharply, "Ooh, this is good. It's never appropriate for a judge to impose that judge's personal convictions, whether they arise from faith or anywhere else, on the law." Perfect. A woman after my own heart. She'd also join a small club, which the Democrats should really appreciate, but we all know that they have zero consistency in any of their convictions. Barrett, if nominated and confirmed, would be only the 5th woman to serve on the Supreme Court. She joined current justices Elena Kagan and Sonia Sotomayor on the bench. Harriet Mier's 2005 nomination was the last time a Republican president picked a woman for the seat on the court. Her record: Barrett has served less than 3 years on the 7th Circuit after working as a law professor at Notre Dame Law School for nearly 2 decades. Okay, so she has 2 decades of teaching. She's been on the 7th Circuit for 3 years, and she's only 48. This bitch is a fucking whiz kid. I really like this. Her short tenure on the bench means that there's been little time to develop a body of legal opinions, which lawmakers from both sides of the aisle would likely scrutinize. Why, she's been a staunch constitutionalist, and everything that she said, I don't think they're going to be too terribly critical of that. Republicans, having been burned in the past by GOP presidents' nominations who ended up voting more liberally, would also likely demand reassurances from Barrett before granting her a lifetime appointment to the court. Everything that she stands for kind of lets anybody with a set of eyes believe that she's going to be quite conservative and a staunch constitutionalist, something Senator Ted Cruz can really appreciate. And he'll be making the vote on this, by the way. He'll be one of the people. Personal life. Barrett, born and raised in New Orleans, is married to Jesse Barrett, a former assistant United States attorney in the Northern District of Indiana. Together they have 7 children. Holy fuck, lady, it's a pussy, not a clown car. Trump has, like I mentioned, she was seen having a meeting today at the White House. Now, that doesn't really mean anything. You know, we could be looking at the other potential nominee pick here, and I'd imagine by the end of the week she'll probably have another interview as well. But Trump says, in public, she's highly respected, I can say that. Very few words from a very strong man. Yeesh. What else do we know about her? Just in case. Okay, so on guns. Barrett indicated support for gun rights in a March 2019 Barrett indicated support for gun rights in a March 2019 dissenting opinion. She was part of the 3-judge panel that considered a challenge to the federal law that bars people convicted of felonies from owning firearms. Why should... Okay. Some felonies and then you can own a gun makes sense. But any sort of violent crimes... No, I'm alright with felons not owning guns if they've committed violent acts. A businessman who had pleaded guilty to mail fraud... Okay, this guy kind of deserves a gun. Argued the law was unconstitutional as it applied to him. The other 2 judges, both appointed by Republican President Ronald Reagan... Oh my god, another case for term limits. Somebody who... Well, 2 judges there that don't even have a remotely relevant... They've got to be in their 70s by this point. Long past their due date. Said that the federal law and similar Wisconsin one were constitutional. In a dissent, Barrett said that, absent evidence the man was violent, permanently disqualifying him from owning a gun violated the Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. You can't see it right now, but I'm rock hard. History is consistent with common sense. It demonstrates that legislatures have the power to prohibit dangerous people from possessing guns, Barrett wrote. But that power extends only to the people who are dangerous. Exactly. Mail fraud does not create serial killers. If anybody can cite the source, feel free to drop it in the comment section down below. Cheap plug. Abortion. It's done and dusted. You know that she's incredibly pro-life. Immigration. Here's the last one that we should really bring light to for Amy Coney Barrett here. In June, Barrett said in a dissenting opinion that she would have let one of Trump's hardline immigration policy go forward in Illinois. She's a great representative of the new wave of republicanism. The litigation was over the public charge rule. What is that, you may ask? A policy of denying legal permanent residency to certain immigrants deemed likely to require government assistance in the future. Absolutely fine with that. I am not anti-immigration. I am anti-low quality immigration. And what I'd consider that to be is somebody who is unskilled and unwilling to join society. You should assimilate to society to the best of your abilities. We all know an immigrant who's come over and has tried their damnedest and they're still going to speak broken fucking English. But as long as they are going to be of high quality to the workforce, by all means come on over. We just don't need boatloads of future welfare victims. That's my opinion. Barrett dissented when the 3-judge panel voted to halt the policy in Illinois. And of fucking course it's Illinois. It's all run by Chicago. And we all know what Chicago's all about. Liberal policies. That and a couple other obvious things. Anyways, let's go back to the original article here and highlight Barbara Lagoa. Now, what I really like about Lagoa is she's born in the United States, but she is a first-generation Cuban American. And she's from Miami, and she knows the demographics of the state. And everybody knows, all the way back to 2000, Florida is a very important state. Now, while that can play a factor into this election cycle, which is, I don't know, you turn on any piece of media and we all know that this is the most important election cycle of our lives until 24 rolls around, when you have all of the revenge of the rhinos and the fucking further insanity of the left. But as of right now, Florida is super important, and appointing Lagoa wouldn't hurt. I don't know if it would help that much. I don't really think that appointing Lagoa would do anything, because the battle lines seem to be fairly well galvanized at this point. So anything that Trump does to try to appeal to the undecided, which I think is a very, 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 very minuscule. Like, you could probably fit it on a cancer patient's dinner plate. It is that small of a serving size. So let's go ahead and explore what Barbara stands for. So, she's a trailblazer for women and Latinos. A Florida native, Lagoa was the first Hispanic woman to serve on the Florida Supreme Court. Great honor. If nominated to the nation's highest court by Trump and confirmed by the Senate, she would be the second Latino justice to have ever served. Current Justice Sonia Sotomayor became the first when she was nominated by Barack Obama. This is another thing that she has very much in her favor. She's previously been through the vetting process. And because there is such a condensed time that the senators are barking mad about, this could really serve Trump and the Republicans well. Because, as it says here, she was already vetted to serve on the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals in 2019. She was confirmed by the Senate in a bipartisan vote, which could help ease her to the path of the court if she is elected by the president again. Because these appeals, or these vetting processes, it's been under the same people. It's been relatively soon, and we can easily look back at anything that she's adjudicated to see if there's any sort of impropriety. So, not much would change, and this would be a very, very speedy confirmation. She could serve a long while. Like I said, she's 52 years old. Enough of these crotchety old fucks. She could serve for a very long time, as much as I am against that. A deep legal background. After graduating from Columbia Law School, Lagoa worked as a pro bono lawyer for Elian Gonzalez's family and later as a federal prosecutor. Lagoa then spent more than a decade as a judge on a Florida appeals court before being picked by Governor Ron DeSantis to serve on the state's Supreme Court. She has been the essence of what a judge should be, according to Ron DeSantis. Now, what does the president have to say about her? She's an extraordinary person. I've heard at length about her. She's Hispanic and highly respected. Miami, highly respected. God, I just have to include these little blurbs at the end. Quintessential Trump. So here's another allegedly nonpartisan outlet in Forbes. But this describes what else she's all about. So she's a Miami native, of course. Unlike a reported frontrunner, Amy Coney Barrett, who was confirmed by the 7th Court of Justice. Now, Trump believes that nominating Lagoa, the daughter of Cuban exiles who fled Fidel Castro's rule, could be a boon to his struggling re-election bid thanks to her background and Florida roots, according to Bloomberg and the New York Times. I wanted to bring up this article just for this single point. She has heard the horrors of communism and socialism, and that will absolutely resonate for the next, 30 years that she's potentially could hold this seat? This is somebody who is not going to vote and not going to adjudicate anything in favor of socialism because she knows how shitty her family has had it. And that's a big reason why I prefer her over Amy Barrett. Not to say that, Barrett would be a terrible judge, but I just think that, if I had to throw my hat behind somebody, it would definitely be Lagoa, because she fits all of the criteria that Barrett does, and frankly, based on her history, she's going to be very anti-socialist, and in the next decade, at least, we're going to need some people who are very, very pro-capitalism and vehemently against any sort of socialism creep. So, both of them would be terrific picks in my opinion, but Lagoa has my support. Anyways, guys, we'll wrap it up there. That's been enough of a cursory outline of what these two women bring to the table. Both of them are excellent choices in my opinion. That'll do it for that. Anyways, guys, if you appreciate what I did here, feel free, hit that subscribe button, drop a like. Hit me up with a comment on anything you'd like covered in the future, or if you have any comments on this video here. I've been Khan Swaylo, and I want you guys to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.